I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That I'll call the meeting to order.
Make a motion to approve today's agenda for November 28th and 23rd.
On the agenda, we're gonna scratch number 9, they called and canceled.
So we're gonna reschedule it for another time.
Yes, December 12th, I believe they.
December 12th. I'll make that change and that's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for November 21st, 2023.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Hi.
Meetings attended.
Attended early childhood development last Tuesday. Pretty much business as usual. The bulk of the meeting was centered around the program presentations from Family Connection, Hopes, and Louisa County Families, LSI, and they just kind of gave their success stories and war stories, and yeah, this nice 2-hour visit.
Anything else on that?
No.
That's it.
That's it.
Had the community action, met also on Tuesday, and we went through a lot of amendment extensions, and like I talked about before, discuss with the board with their banking bids and made our decisions on that, and give a little bit more leeway in the future. Went over our budgets, everything looking good though. Getting some extensions on some disaster monies. Yeah, 3 of them last year. One had Minneapolis tornado, small F2. But they're there when people need them, so that's the biggest thing. Got the retaining walls, the bunkers, 5 of them were out there at the transfer station Wednesday. Get that all done, and tomorrow hopefully put some flat work down and start going. We're supposed to warm up to 40s tomorrow, so start getting that done. Had a conservation meeting last night, just kind of go over. Unfortunately, Craig himself was not able to take the offer, something to do with his house, where it's located. So he won't be able to be our conservation director, so we're back on the interviewing. So there'll be more to come up on that, so we're setting it up for next week and moving forward. And
That's unfortunate.
yeah, it is. I think it would have been a great addition, but things happen. So we met last night. That's it.
Did they get started on the roof out?
Yep.
Did they get me?
Well, they're still chugging along. It's still kind of slowing down just a little bit, but they.
It's gonna moderate and
Yeah. The rest of this week should be pretty good. I don't have a completion date, but I can get that.
well, I don't know, there's
Yeah.
4, did they get 1 or 2 of them?
I don't know. I haven't checked. Well, last week was another crazy with Thanksgiving, so I haven't checked since last
Okay.
Wednesday. So.
Did everybody get the email from Brad Turner about the
Yep.
LP tanks at
Yeah.
24%?
And I was gonna wait till it got to around 20 with the warm weather coming back up, because it would take a transport, would put it up right around 80%. I don't want to get too much in there and have it warm up. It don't look like it's going in, but I can get a hold of the schedule maybe next week, have a transport come in.
Right, and by the middle of December.
We get the valves taken care of.
They were,
Yeah,
they've got them,
Do they?
for the,
They-
wait, it was a packing, wasn't it? Packing now?
yeah, but they tightened.
Oh, I meant on the heating valves inside the building.
Oh, they're working on it. They had to order a
Okay.
bunch of them. And it's gonna be a big project, but I told him, I says, just start, so get 3 in, replace 3, get 4 in, replace 4, just keep adding. Yeah,
It'll be busy once a week for.
yeah, for a while. Okay. We had a little meeting yesterday on, the new law, kind of limiting the percentages of what we can have in general, basic and general sup, but just a lot of unanswered questions that will be answered in the next month as we get into budget. So I'll leave that one. It's time for public input. Kathy, do you know?
Yeah, well, I'm not on the agenda, and it's really not.
Well-
I like to come and tell you what's going on so you feel informed. And I happen to be chairing here. I'm gonna give one to you too. I'm giving them to everybody. Look, I brought stuff for Jimmy in, which is always what I forget. There's a committee working to upgrade building at the fair, and we have our fancy brochure, and I have a couple of grants in the works, so I'm guessing you'll see more about this in the newspaper, and I want you to know what's going on. So it's about a $2 million project. The fair board is all on board with this, so I'm not with the fair board. I'm just working on the fundraising committee. I'm sure Chris has seen a lot more about this than the rest of you because he's more involved perhaps at the fair with grandkids and whatnot. But the buildings that you see here, all these buildings will be removed, every one of them except the show arena. The horse arena is gonna stay, but the show arena will stay, but not the barns that are attached to it. And a big new barn, and the drawing is on the inside and laid over it, is going to be built there. A building that will accommodate big church events, big school events, other animal shows that the FFAs might want to put on. And perhaps storage during the winter too. And if you have any questions about this, my phone number is on the back, or I'm sure you guys have my phone number, so. We're gonna be working on this, I assume, for the next 2 years, but. I think it'll happen fast. We're not asking for any money. I just want you to know what's going on. If somebody says to you, what the hell is happening at the fair? You can say, well, hold on, Daddy Vance gave me a brochure. Let me tell you. Okay, you have any questions? I mean, in case you have any questions.
What's the plans? I think that the funding will come and stuff. When do you think that'll happen?
Yes, well, we're working on that. So we've met with the USDA and we have a couple meetings with some people who I think will offer a large match. I'm hoping that we have over half the funding by this year in July. We're also selling buildings if you feel like you want to have one of those barns or pieces of any of those barns. That'll be probably a small piece of what's going on. So I'm hoping, what year is this?
This
I'm
is
so messed up.
23.
So it'll be the 2024 fairs next year, right?
Right.
We're hoping certainly by 2026 that we'll have a new building.
Wow.
And all the other buildings will be gone. It may happen sooner than that, but
We got a lot of sweat equity in 2 of them barns.
no, you do. As a kid, did you help with the
We went
cattle
around
barn?
to farmers that donated batteries.
Yeah.
Recycled them, took the money and built 2 of them barns.
Yes. Okay, you're not old enough to have built a cattle barn though.
No.
Yeah,
What
that's
what they call
1953.
the rabbit and the chicken barns.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's,
Yes, and the history part on the inside front page talks about some of the past and who's been involved. Lots of 4-H kids and 4-H parents, like what you're talking about, Chris, have really been involved in that over time. That swine barn was 1907, and that was, and actually a lot of it is old donated lumber and donated time, and almost nothing built new. In those animal
Yeah.
facilities until the poultry barn, the goat barn, and
I
then,
remember the
New
cattle
cattle
barn being built.
yeah, a lot of, there's nothing that's been built, except the youth center. There's nothing that's been built since the 70s. Upgrades, lights, fans,
oh,
concrete.
yeah, electrical, they just keep.
Keep on with the electrical every single year. Okay.
Taping stuff together.
You can always, if people have questions or want to give money or want to know about the old building, send them my way. My number's on there and
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, I hope you feel informed. If you have questions,
Oh, I feel.
Selena, you feel much more informed. Selena can always get a hold of me and say, come in, they want to know more about what you are doing.
Okay,
All right, thank you guys. Thanks, Kathy.
Well, Mr. McCleary, I see you're here. It's
Yeah,
your public input.
well, apparently we have several issues. I think the easiest to solve is the titles out in that park.
You know,
So if you've got somebody to crawl underneath the trailer, I'll go put notices to everybody and. We can go confirm what's actually there and what's not. Right, because I was making progress on that when I first bought the park until sheriff's office told people they didn't have to comply with that,
okay,
so.
Who said that?
The sheriff's office. Several people called in and asked, why do I have to fill out an application? I've been here for years. Why do I have to provide proof of who owns the house? And they said they don't have to do that. So if we've got somebody who can crawl, we can go get that situated.
Wrong time of year for crawling. It's warmer out, but.
How many trailers are we talking?
About 30, 40 trailers.
Think you got anything to say on that? Hear us, Vicky?
Oh, here.
A little different screen than we usually have on up there.
Which I'd like to find out who the sheriff's office said that.
yeah, how many years ago would that have been?
Maybe 5.
5 years ago.
A lot of people's changed since then.
She's here, but she was on the phone. What's up? She says.
About, he's offering to have somebody look at the VIN numbers and that way we can get them all for the right lot. Do we have somebody, Vicky, that could go out and get the VIN numbers, crawl underneath there and get the VIN numbers? Can we hire somebody?
She's not sure who that would be.
How about we get back to you when we find out?
Okay.
Cause we need to do that.
Somebody's gonna have to be responsible for taking some of the skirting off.
Yeah.
I don't think the county should be responsible because then if it gets broken, then we're going down that path.
She's
And I don't
saying
wanna go down that
assessor,
path.
but assessor, do we do mobile homes?
No, I don't think we do. I don't think a mobile home is in that through license.
Well, let's
Ask my
get
ladies
some
to go
questions,
out.
let's get some legal questions answered and. Get back to you, how would that be?
It's fine by me.
Would it
This is a
be,
problem like that you guys seem to have.
Well, the state, and we gotta get that updated because I got a list here of all the. Well, we got a list. And they don't match what we have on file. Some of them, I ain't saying they're all screwed up, but many of them.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 in the park that you don't even know exist. I don't
We just need to keep.
I don't think they're in there, and I had found trailers on the wrong lots but nobody's like picking up a trailer and moving it from one lot to the next. It costs like $5,000 to pick up your house and move it to the other end.
Then there's there a way we can take and transfer the bin and move a tag down onto the tongue by the ball hitch or whatever, so that it's
Probably make more sense.
outside and we don't,
Make up a plate.
yeah. tag it, rivet
Probably a
it,
good
whatever you
idea
gotta do
for a
for
picture.
future reference, yeah.
Yep, you're right.
And then if we come across a trailer that doesn't have a tag, then we'll know it's been moved or altered or whatever.
You let. Let them know this also.
I'm sure we can find somebody that can do this.
What was the first part of this?
Yeah, it might be a little more in tune for a little warmer weather to be crawling around or,
Might be a March or an April.
yeah.
Wow. Apparently it was an issue recently, so I
Oh,
found
there's
out
a-
about it and apparently it's the second or third time we've talked about this. Apparently letters aren't getting people to comply if Vicky's actually sent letters out to people.
Well, nobody wants to crawl underneath the trailer.
People who own the houses shouldn't have to crawl under their trailer. They should go, I have the title in my hand, and they're supposed to give a photocopy of that every January.
Yep.
But they don't.
Let's iron it out and stop talking about it. I like getting stuff done.
Yeah, we gotta get educated just a little bit on this too, and like I agree with Sean, we gotta put something out where you can get at it at any time.
And it's supposed to be right in the front of the trailer,
Yeah,
on the front side of the thing.
Yeah.
So I can't physically crawl. My son couldn't find the ketchup in the fridge, so. Right?
So-
And people won't just, let me.
Let's go down this path, just because we're sitting here talking about it. We crawl under some of them and there's nothing there. Now what are we gonna do?
One has to be, I think. We are not receiving the reports from, okay, she just talked about that. There's a way that they can assign a,
Sign it in? That'd be through the DOT though.
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to, Vicky probably knows, but I don't, but I think there's a way to assign, just like a homemade trailer, you know. I think there's a procedure to go through. Cause I think a certain year, I think it was from 60 or 59 up, didn't have that numbers or something, is that right, you know?
I don't know, I can't imagine there's still homes really from the 50s that are livable.
There's quite a few in the county. And there since I were around. I would say it probably not very many.
I don't think there's any from the 50s. They're
60s,
generally short.
70s. That park
There's
was,
probably some still from the 70s, a lot of them from the 80s,
because that park was what, 69, 68, that park was
something like that.
started with that. Okay, well, I appreciate you coming forward, talking about that. It has been on the radar of many people in the state. I appreciate you coming there.
Right? Do we have any other issues with me?
Well, there's some talk about some water.
Yeah.
I heard.
Right? But what and where?
The water was off because of repairs last we heard. Is that back up and going?
It was off for like an hour.
Okay, well, we just heard it was off. So I don't know.
And over the next 2 days, we have 2 hydrants to dig up and fix. They're not leaking as bad, so. Once we get it dug to the bottom, we should be able to dig it to the bottom without having to shut it off. We got 2 other hydrants. People didn't put in a heat rod, put in heat tape. It froze and destroyed the hydrants. Now they gotta be dug up. So, and then I went and checked. I mean, the kids supposed to be responsible for it. I went out and checked. But all the dead end lines, I didn't find a whole bunch of mess. Like I read the newspaper article where it was supposedly mud. I went to every dead end. I don't know where we pulled. I mean, if you go to a hydrant that's never been opened and opened one, it'll look dirty. It'll look pretty dirty. But all the dead ends seem to be, pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't read the article, so.
There's
Well,
a trailer out there that's got a lot of trash overflowing off of it. It'd be nice to have it.
lot 2, I would like them, they should actually be in jail.
This isn't lot 2. This looks like the community area where everybody puts their garbage.
Yeah, it's Monday, or I didn't make it out there yesterday. I will make it out there as soon as I leave here and we dump that.
There's a
I'm
lot.
assuming, yeah, a bunch of people spend a bunch of money on Thanksgiving and Christmas presents and stuff, and
Just
Yeah.
so you know,
I haul that twice a week.
a lot of trash there to be there. Twice a week.
We also have people coming from outside of the park and dumping their trash there. I actually caught some people coming to the park and dumping tires a few weeks ago and no arrests made. They told them to take back a few tires. They were so brave to do it at noon on a Saturday, right in front of the park. They were asked to just not return. It's not easy to actually catch these people doing this. And when we finally do and nothing gets done, that's frustrating, to say the least.
Some of us all had the same problems. So. I don't have anything else.
Well, we'll find about them VIN numbers and set something up this spring.
Right.
Okay. Okay. We reviewed the payroll changes, which we had a deputy moved to canine officer and get 25 cents more an hour. Which is every bit of, yes, John.
I had a couple questions on the conservation board appointment process. Can I ask about?
Yeah,
Okay. At the last meeting, it was. I reported anyhow, and that's the way I understood that there were gonna be two appointments made. And I got a call from the email from the editor up in Maquoketa who read that story and then also read the ad that was going to run this week. And she had a question because there was only the impression anyhow in the ad that there's one position being advertised. Is there a change or is that still?
we're just after one.
We're not after two.
We gotta still leave that one
Not
open.
until December.
Okay, well, that,
That's when usually we make our appointments end of
it was
December.
my understanding that there were gonna be two asked.
No, I think it did get confusing, but I just thought it was just one.
Okay.
So.
Okay. The other, I didn't realize it at the time, last week, but I understand now, from looking at how reports online, that there has been a court date
September,
assigned on that.
September of next year.
Right, and so and I also saw, Adam's email that talked about the replacement process. So I issued that in April of last year. And why now are you looking at making that replacement now after more than a year of not taking any action based on his initial review?
We're leaving it open. We're not replacing Sam. We're just replacing the person that their term is up.
Or replacing, I think we're replacing Sam, but if something happened out of the courts and then that person, when they took the position, would know that they would have to leave and then the term would be finished out.
So that's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah, we're saying two different things.
Yeah, but it's time to move forward. I mean, we've been running without a person on there for almost a year. Yeah, we gotta move forward. I mean,
Well, why now?
why not now?
Well, that's a question I'm asking.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I don't have an answer. I think we have to with Joe's position. I don't know if she's gonna run again. I think she is. But before, we didn't know. So that was gonna be two positions and we was already one short. So if it didn't happen, we wouldn't be able to have really a meeting because of the quorum. So that's one reason we was kind of looking at it, because if it's hard to find a position to get in there, we really couldn't have a meeting, so.
Well, in Adam's email, he states, or his opinion, or whatever you want to call it. He indicates that if there is a problem in the future, if there's an appointment made to Sam's position and the courts rule in his favor, then there is the potential for some of the decisions, and if that person that's been appointed in his place makes a deciding vote, to have some of those decisions reversed, avoided.
Yeah.
Now, you had a group in here last week that also was complaining about something the supervisors did 25 years ago. Isn't that going to potentially create the same situation?
I don't think so.
Well, why wouldn't it?
Usually when there's a tie, it's the chair that breaks the tie. It's not a board member.
Yeah, but there would be a potential where you could have, say, a 3-member at a meeting, I could think of, and it could be a 2-to-1 to vote with something. And
How many people are on the board?
Well, it's supposed to be
5.
Yeah.
but the 3 is a quorum. you
Right,
can take
right.
action, so there
Right.
could be a potential. I would say. And
That's all
it
they
seems
were
like
saying.
you were complaining last time that at the last meeting, when folks were here, that supervisors had done something that was handcuffing you folks now. And it seems, I mean, what's the difference? That's what I'm asking.
Of what happened 25 years ago and what happened.
He's saying, with 4 of you could make a decision without Sam, that might have repercussions 25 years later now.
Well, or any member.
That could be, I could be doing that right now.
I'm just using that as,
I could. I mean, we could have done, in 25 years, we could have done that 5 times.
but in those cases, you don't know about it. This case, you seem
I
to
think-
know that they're stepping into something.
You need to direct that to our county attorney. Let's give this permission to move forward.
Well, yeah, but he warned you that
Yeah,
this could be a potential, so it
But-
becomes your,
but he said that we could go ahead and proceed.
but with that warning.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm asking you, if
Well,
with that
I'll
warning, why
refer it
is
back
that?
to Adam and you ask him the questions.
Well, I think you're just gonna say it's your
Scholar on
decision.
that. Jim, you're asking me to make a legal decision.
No,
And that's not, it's coming from our county attorney that gives us direction. And he puts every scenario in there, and if you have a question, please refer to the county attorney.
well, you're asking the buck, Brad.
No.
Because.
That is my job to make sure that I do everything by the law of the land.
And he has said what you can do,
And he also
but he
said.
has
we can
also
proceed.
warned you of the consequences.
Duly noted, thank you.
And that's what I want to know from you,
Duly noted, thank you.
why now are you making these decisions? That's your response.
Yes, Adam made it. That's who I go through. That's who gives us advices us on what to see. And if you want me to go up there and try to quote a law to you, it's not gonna happen.
Well, I'm not asking you that.
Basically, you are.
You're looking at one part of the opinion. What about the other two? Brad's doing the talking. I guess, do you agree with him on that?
I haven't had time to review Adam's opinion, but it's time to get this vote moving, I think.
So it shows you qualifies and you go.
I got another question in the gallery. What
He's presenting you with a what if.
right,
So if that would come to that decision, there's a way to back out of it and say, we're not gonna make this decision till we have a full board.
I'm surprised.
It's a what if situation he's putting you in, and you can't answer all the what ifs.
Well, it's not a what if necessarily.
It's exactly what it is. You just said if you had to make the decision, when you asked the question.
I'm referring to Adam.
But they still have 4 people on there. You said that if there was only 3 people, if there's only 3 people there,
And,
you might make a decision.
well, I don't have an argument with. I don't have an argument with the board. I'm asking the
I
board.
think you do have.
I'm asking the board how it's justifying or what its reasons are for moving forward now after over a year.
Or for all my questions to him.
We're not gonna run into problems with budget, a lot of things. It's time to get a full diverse board up there going. Is my,
It ain't like we rushed into it.
and we've been waiting on legal.
Yeah.
Information for 6 months, if not more. You know. Asking if we've asked that question. Stuff has been sitting in certain attorneys' desks. I mean, I haven't read Adam's opinion, but
Well, there's only about 5 lines, at least the one
I guess I'm confused. You said we were replacing 2 people?
That's what I had understood from last Tuesday, that you were replacing 2.
Well, there's another one coming up.
There's Sam's
Sam's
position,
position, yeah.
Sam's position, and then.
the vacancy.
Joel.
And it's coming up at the end of the year, is that what you're saying? So that's the truth. Okay. I was.
But we're not at that point right now.
You don't know that she's not running.
I think she is right now.
She
Okay,
She
so
brought in, I understand, there's a seal. Still in
I've
there.
had 2 applications so far.
okay. All right.
It's a decision to be made the third week of December.
Yeah, because the ad goes in the paper this week and next week, it'll be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
But the ad that I saw only states one position. Yeah, it's the one that expired, or that begins January 1 of 24. It doesn't mention, and that's where both my editor and I were confused as to if you're doing 1 or 2. Now you're saying again, you're doing 2. Even though,
Who's the debt?
I heard one.
okay,
I heard one. Now, I don't know which one it is, but I heard one.
It's talk to Adam.
I heard a
This
spot.
is Joellen's seat that you're filling right now. That's something. Not necessarily. Okay. Well, that's mine.
Well, we got 15 minutes before we start with Brian. Adam, you want to give us your weekly?
Weekly, it's cold out there. That's weekly report. It is really super cold out there. It's January, February cold out, which is great. So we did some plowing on Sunday. I went out and pushed off snow and spread some material, came back in Monday morning. Hit some spots that had kind of iced over a little bit, and had the guys in the blade out there, was sketching hills and things like that, yesterday. Today we're kind of doing some shop things, and then we will begin to we got some tree and clearing and stuff we did earlier in the year, and we're gonna go burn those off. We've got some piles out there, and burn those off, things that aren't too part of the equipment in the weather. We're gonna be working on trees and things like that. Here soon. What else we got going on? We're excavators and going through the adjuster period to get that fixed.
It's got a tarp on it.
Yeah, because of this smash all the glass out of it when that tree hit it.
There's no building we can put that in, keep the rain out of it.
So. Nothing unfortunate, but it's probably gonna get a whole new cabin anyway, so it's. In our world, but yeah, there's. No, we don't have anywhere to put our equipment or over the winter in the rain or anything. So.
Plug up your shop.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll fit in the shop.
we could kick out. Something like I guess we had to, but then, if you want to change a tire, you gotta pull it in and out, so. Other than that, we are, again. Kind of beginning to budget things, the guys in the. And engineer's office are working on plans and stuff like that. got an update from River Products and our rock 22 went from 11.11 to 12.79, which is 15% increase. This year it went up about 5%, which is good, but that's 70 cents an extra ton, so. That rock that I pre-purchased though from that is actually less than River Products, which is the first time that has ever happened, so. Kind of about that myself about that, so. Right, that we're meeting with Mac today to work on specs for our next, and our specs and quotation for our next truck. Looking at that, I guess. Got some meetings that are coming up about lots of things, lots of changes in the DOT. And stuff like that. The next. December, planning to have a meeting with the DOT on December 11th. That's gonna be a conference call type deal. I'm gonna invite you guys to select 20 members to attend. Guys up on the city, and it should be a good opportunity to ask some questions and get the updates on it. I had asked to get some updates beforehand so we can formulate a discussion and make that to me that, but
Well,
anyway, the plan.
emails that you got from Hector,
Yes,
mine don't open up.
don't open up. I forwarded you one, and that's got the, I think, meeting link in there. But
But then it also had 2 PDFs that could be, I figured was probably blueprints or whatever. But
oh, okay, I'll
resend it to me or something.
yeah, I'll check that out, and maybe I can print them out and print them or something, so. Okay. So working on that, and we'll,
It's a couple of weeks from now, isn't it?
yes, 11th, so that we can give a report to the board on Tuesday, I guess, as to what's going on. I plan on
What time is that?
zooming in or whatever, so.
what's that.
What time is that DOT?
I don't know, it is a public thing, so.
It's a week from next Monday.
Yeah.
I'll attend. I'll probably attend too.
Well, we need to post it, don't we?
But we'll post it a week from now or.
Okay, I'll get the details and all that, so.
Will you email me those and I'll post them?
That is New Jersey. I don't know.
Well, hey, Chris, next Tuesday, I'm gonna start doing from deer season. We all have to sacrifice.
We all have to.
Didn't sort of joke about the balls that there's a.
Perfect weather for it right
all
now.
year long, but-
It's all year round. You're thinking the cousins.
Yes, the cousins out west, yeah.
I can just drive the highways, we want hit every day.
Oh, man, there's a lot of deer, a lot of it getting hit and. I don't know what to do, we're trying to get the brush cleared off the best we can to get a little bit of a help. Well, here in about 3 weeks, there's gonna be a lot less of them to hit, so.
Now they'll be running out of timber a lot faster. They're not lucky.
So,
Not a care in the world.
yeah, so. Any questions for me?
Brian has a
I
question.
got a couple things for you, Adam. One, during the spring runoffs last year, high water, snow melt,
Yeah,
so the state of Iowa was real concerned about the rising water. Well, they were just engaged probably more than they ever have been. I was relaying back then, it's typical spring runoff for us so far. And we monitored it, and my point is down in the Muscatine Bottoms area, Reggie Myers area, that I was down there at least twice a day at least twice a day, every day. And I had some residents saying, thank you for the good work in the ditches down there.
Mhm.
The seam really moved the water out of the area.
Yeah.
And I had at least 3 people comment on that, that they think the water's moving better, and so it almost became our typical spring seep water. Really became a non-event in that area, where before it would have inundated more yards. There were a few yards affected, but no one had to leave their home.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, looking at doing maybe some more there on F Avenue. The problem is you let water through and it flood out the next farm. And all that, but
That compliments were in contrast to the previous.
yeah,
Good job.
we definitely improved it there. That like I said, I like to watch my work in action, so I was up there every day looking at it to see. Okay, it wasn't as bad as 19, so.
And the second thing would be, what was helpful for me last year, me and everybody, the department heads and the citizens, was when you put out kind of the snow removal plan saying, here's our strategy, here's our limitations, here's our times. And I don't want to jinx the weather by putting that out soon, but maybe before the next big snowstorm, or it was just helpful for everybody to know that we do have a plan, but also we have limitations.
Sure, yeah, I typically do that around this time, so yeah, I'll get that out, because it does help, kind of set expectations, of our working hours, we're not out there before 5, we are generally off the road at dark, sometimes we'll be out there till 8 if it's a thing. Emergency, we will respond if there's a, what do we say? We're at the light, right, we can set out a special truck. And then we talk to the sheriff and, that's from him to me, it's not a dispatcher to a worker, there's.
Right, we've set up.
Everything has to go through the chain of command and all that, yeah, so we've had pretty good luck the last couple of years, and knock on wood, of course, but.
I think as soon as you put that information out there, it solves a lot of questions. Like the sheriff's office gets a lot of questions, and
Yeah, sure.
questions, and I get a lot of questions. So when as soon as you put that out there, it kind of sets the stage for what's coming.
Yep, so.
We're still on track then, since I got the floor then. And we were planning on doing some CPR training out of the secondary roads, but we had a couple of tentative dates that didn't get solidified, so we're probably looking off into December for CPR training.
Yeah. So, we'll get that done, so.
Okay. Well,
Is number 11 concerned here?
number 11 comes
I
from,
think it was.
a citizen requested this, but I don't see him here.
Okay, I mean, yeah, if there's any questions about the highway, I'll do the best I can. We don't know more until after a meeting.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't sure if that was like the west or the coming into town, coming into the county there and stuff.
the person that called and asked the question a week ago to where that got put on was between Jameson Hill and town here.
Okay.
So I don't know what.
Might be a while.
It's a
Yeah.
gray area.
If you wanted to, you could have that person. Give me a call or something, and I'll do the best I can to update them, there's always.
Okay, and maybe he has too, with Scott Heater. If they,
I tried talking to him a couple of years ago, I think.
but not lately.
No, it really hasn't been any change, so.
Is it going behind his house or still staying in front of it?
I think it's paralleling the existing highway,
So it goes past it.
Yeah,
so that, and that curve, the curve
Yeah,
there,
kind
it
of
goes
it all.
straight up there past it, that's up.
Build the house.
I think so. I think his house is scheduled to be gone. I mean,
I don't-
Scott.
Really?
he's down-
So the road's gonna be on his side then?
Yeah, I don't recall the details of any of that, so.
So, or maybe he's went up the food chain and got an answer. I don't know.
Interesting.
If he shows up, we might call you.
That's fine,
Okay,
that's fine.
Well. You can stay here for discussion on the safety manual.
I'm so excited.
Don't
Contain your enthusiasm, man.
We had meetings earlier and I think we gave our blessing, so I haven't. Unless anything was added since our last meeting.
Paul's recommendations of all edits and such.
Yeah, I know there were some inconsistencies with reporting and how that jives with the sheriff's contract or our contract or things like that. So I think the intent was to kind of get them all on the same page. You know, we can't have different manuals here and there because it creates confusion. So, but I think that was straightened out. So,
Okay.
I guess the general thing I'm gonna say, and it's probably written in there, doesn't cover every situation, so there's gotta be some common sense in everything. So.
It's a guideline for. Yep. Well, we'll review it and
All right,
talk to you later.
and if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know.
Thank you, Adam.
Yes, sir.
Well, Brian, that leads us up to you.
Well, fasten your seatbelt.
Monthly update and updated safety manual.
Well, that's gonna I'll get that to the very end. So just blast through some of these other things, because our emergency management, 911. So emergency management, some dates I have done some work. November 7th, I met with the Ministerial Association. And just a small group in the beginning. They have a group, but as emergency management, I'm trying to circle that group, and I have an email chain of ministers throughout the county to help grow that group, only so they can hear about preparedness in the county. Because what happens is during a total disaster, a lot of folks will gravitate towards those buildings because maybe the lights are on, or that's just a bigger place to meet. So we're kind of getting a local plan with ministers to say, let's get prepared for those days. So that was a good meeting on November 7th, and then I followed that up with a city of Wapello. But on November 13th, then I went to Grandview City Council, talked about the same thing. They have a new mayor there. Introduced myself to that group again and talked about the importance of attending an emergency management commission meeting so we can have a quorum and solve some of these preparedness problems. And then November 16th, Wapello City Council with the same meeting. Jim did a good article about that. Just saying that I just feel like we need to be better prepared for a big disaster, and we are. We made some changes here, and I'll talk a little bit in a minute about the Louisa Muscatine Disaster Coalition. That's kind of where we're getting some of our foundation work. On November 21st, assisted with a night call for a search for a fugitive down in the Muscatine Bottom. That was quick event. That drone pays dividends quickly. When it's dark and you can't see the drone, because of the thermal sensor on that, and we could find lost people pretty quickly. November 22nd, I got to visit with the 4-H robotics team. That was a good discussion. They had learned about a term called resiliency center. That's just a place where people come during a disaster, like a community preparedness plan. They want to know not just about that, they want to know about how can we get alternative power to there when the power goes out. That's because they have been through their solar audit, usage and all that. And they were an excited group of kids and wanted to know about that. And then more specifically, they want to know how to get this plan out there, the communication piece of this plan. So that's about Louisa County Alert. So a very involved group of kids there, and I hope to work with them more and more, because they're the next generation of where they'll be sitting in your seats. So if they can start educating some of these kids sooner, that's better. Let's see. We did get accepted the Louisa County Communication Foundation grant for an EMA for a $2,100 award towards the printer that I asked for help for. It's a credentialing system, the salamander system, credentialing. And it helps with all kinds of things during disaster, managing populations and evacuations and those things. So I did receive $2,100 for that purpose. And then we're still working with the hazard mitigation plan and working with the state representative that helps with that grant and timeframes and good advice and counsel. They are working with me and SR Southeast Iowa Regional Planning together. We're all in cahoots, communicating about staying on track with that project. Had a conversation with Vicky, because there's a new portal because it's federal money. There's a new FEMA grant portal that we have to access. So we're engaged in that. And this is kind of a new technology or a new plan where we're asking for a grant to help pay for this plan, because in previous years, the county just wrote a check for it. But there is a grant available for that, but it is a lot of work. And it's important to involve Southeast Iowa Regional Planning, because it's a lot of community engagement and a lot of architect work to that plan. I'm looking forward to this a little bit. December 5th has a salamander training. I mentioned the Louisa Muscatine Disaster Coalition partnered up with Muscatine County and their resources, our resources. We're learning and working together to manage disasters. Obviously, they have bigger resources than us, but we all lean on the salamander system then and get about this credentialing. So we're going to learn about how to use that system effectively. And so I recently reinstated our license to participate with the salamander credentialing system and getting this new printer. So that's just a deal where if we had to move a lot of people, we can just scan their driver's license. It gives us basic information and we can give them a card for resources and those kind of things. And so I'll be engaging you guys more to that. Come on in. And then January 4th, got educated by Cindy about the interagency meetings they have in town here. And so I have never attended one, but I plan to, because again, there are agency heads that do a round table and they talk and lean on each other and shake hands and get to know each other. So I'll introduce myself to that group. January 4th. January 8th, we had the Railroad Safety 102 class. We had the 101 a few months ago. We had the 102 follow up to that. It's more about an administrative response to railroad incidents. That's going to be in the Letts Fire Department again. Letts Community Center, hosted by the Letts Fire Department. The very next day, January 9th, we have what's called MARC training, again with the Louisa Muscatine Disaster Coalition. And MARC training is multi-agency resource center. So like the kids talked about the resiliency center, this is about how to stand up a resource center after a disaster. So for, for Davenport and had their flood, the affected people could come, they get credentialed with the salamander system, get their little badge, they could go down to the warehouse and pick up supplies for recovery supplies. So we have that education January 9th. And then the very next day, January 10th, I have what's called the COAD meeting. It's a state level COAD, communities, organizations activated after disaster. That's COAD. That name has been trademarked, so we can't use COAD anymore. But anyway, they are the state level that helps local levels like the Louisa Muscatine group get organized and function. That's what I have for emergency management. Busy. And 911, last time I talked briefly about the surcharge fund, I was concerned about an article that came out from Taylor Collins newsletter, and I chatted with Taylor about that. He said that's kind of the standard newsletter that all the legislators get, that's pushed down as a template. And he did investigate that. He doesn't see any further discussion on legislators trying to redirect how our surcharge fund is given to counties. And so for us, we have about 500,000 in our surcharge fund, and we use that to be prepared to replace radio equipment in our dispatch center and those kind of things. So, but he kind of assures me on a phone call that there's been no further discussion. But it's not just me, it's other counties and other dispatch centers are got their eye on that to make sure nothing happens to the surcharge fund. In the world of safety, you're going to talk about safety manual, and what I did say, CPR training has been moved in probably into December. I connected Adam with the CPR instructor, and they were working out a date that didn't happen in November, so we'll move that off into December. And then for the Louisa County Foundation grant, again, $3,500 to help with AEDs. So that's about half of what we need to cover the cost of buying a few AEDs that we need. But certainly appreciate that $3,500 effort.
How many will that buy?
1.5.
How's our battery situation? Are we replacing them on general maintenance?
And Selena can tell you, there's a group comes in and services our AEDs. And so we're on a program for that, but going forward, if we buy a couple more AEDs, we'll make sure we're on schedule to include that in the safety budget. However it gets paid right now, it probably comes out of this, the general fund from county, but I can budget that into the safety budget.
12 years for general life of an AED.
Probably less than that, probably 10 years, but the batteries are almost an annual inspection replacement.
Yeah, they are.
And the pads too, the electrodes and pads, those have an expiration date. And so the places where the AEDs are now, that's what the departments are saying. We have an AED, but now they have to maintain the cost to maintain those. And it's all county money. I mean, it comes out of their budget or the county budget or the safety budget. It just gets covered. But I could budget that in, and so it takes it off their plate, and someone's got their eye on it to make sure it's happening.
Yeah, you should be budgeted. Yeah.
The last thing is the safety budget. Did you get a copy of that electronically or otherwise? Yeah, and so that is the newest edition, and we reviewed that, and like Adam had mentioned, is realigning some of the way the reporting happens, so we don't have conflicting language in there with how accidents are reported, and cleaned up some of the misspelled words, things been there for years, But other than that, just good. And I guess the big part about that, we wanted to double check what the seatbelt policy was, because there's a recommendation of workers' comp group that we adopt their new language in the seatbelt policy, but upon further review, we just matched up their recommended seatbelt policy to what we already had. It was almost word for word what we already had in there, and ours had a couple more stringent applications. So the seatbelt policy is good. They just want to make sure that we review that and adopt that into our safety manual, which it was already there. So I don't know if you need to make a motion to look at that and get it
I
for next
reviewed
week.
it. Yeah, I reviewed it. Do you want to have it approved next week?
Resolution to approve, adopt.
Yeah, I had it on for today, but
Yeah, discussion on approval of safety manual,
Yeah,
so it can be done today.
okay, however you work that, leave that up to you, but it needs to be approved every 2 years, and
he gave you a copy right there, your writing, it's on there.
has a picture of the courthouse on it.
Last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did look through it.
I hadn't shown.
The date.
The day.
So I had changed a lot of the formatting in there and updated it, and then we gave that to Paul, dropped our HR guy to review it. So it's not conflicting with our employee handbook and any other details they have for the county roads and the sheriff's office in their contracts.
Do I need to have our incident reports like in the office that I fill out if somebody trips and falls?
Whatever page is in there, we just take that out and
Take
make
that
that.
out.
Yeah, okay.
Cause everything, I reviewed it, and everything looked good, so.
And I will say you're very on Johnny on the spot with that, because a couple of instances we had were been trips and slips. That got reported very quickly through the auditor's office, so thank you for doing that. Otherwise, I would never know.
I read it as well. I'll make the motion to approve it. And
I remember looking at it last week.
Yep.
Last week, yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So,
I have one question. 911 question. Do signs, 911 signs do not get put up at like trailer parks like his?
What is in the ordinance that we get one sign for the trailer park at the entrance.
Okay,
And then it would be very helpful, and I've tried a couple other trailer parks to say better identification of the trailer
each
in a
one,
hurry.
yeah.
And because you can only imagine ambulances or fire trucks needing to get in there quick and start
'Cause
counting.
you can identify
Yeah,
road accesses and
Yeah.
stuff, so I don't understand why we wouldn't signage every one.
Also, the address attached to the lot, the parcel itself is the spot on the map. And then each trailer though, I mean, it would not be a nightmare, but to get each lot then an address on that same road, it would be difficult. However, the ordinance is spelled out all those years ago, it says a sign at the entrance, and then each individual trailer should be marked, but not by the county. It's kind of like the same.
The lot would have to be identified with the sign.
So I did check with this, I checked with Grandview how they handle down in Louisa Court area, and they have a plat map, they know where to go generally if things haven't moved, and you know, but that's how they do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, we got motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll start moving this one out. for new one.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm glad you're never behind that.
Okay, girl, says the time of year again.
Thank you.
Hi, ladies.
Good to see you guys.
How are you guys doing?
Living the dream, okay.
During basketball season.
Yeah,
I made extra copies for you. So Barb with Lex isn't able to be here today. She had another item on her schedule where she was working, so. We just compiled all of our statistics together like we did last year. I think it's a little bit easier. I did just, because I didn't look at this before, but the population of the county is just not quite 11,000 people. So between all of your county libraries, everyone has, if we're looking at total population, we're at somewhere between 2 and 2.5 items checked out by every person in the county, and around 2 visits to their library every year. I think that's pretty incredible. I don't know. I would have to do some digging into some other communities and some other counties, but I think those are pretty incredible statistics. That number at the bottom of is something that we run from our cataloging system. So that is only taking into account physical items that people are checking out of the library. That doesn't include the computer usage, the Wi-Fi usage, the programs, the classes, all the different things that we do.
The downloadable books.
The ebooks, the audiobooks, all that kind of stuff, the databases that we have. So one of the things the state library provides for us is called Help Now. And it is a live tutoring service from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. every day other than federal holidays. So, you know, if you're having, I'm not a math person at times. So like when my kid's in pre-calculus and doesn't know how to do his homework, he can log on and get live help with the problem and have someone talk him through that. They're all vetted. I mean, that's a really incredible service that we pay nothing for, but that amount saved doesn't include any of that information. There are some different resources online to kind of look and see how much you personally have saved. I've never tried it to like compile all of the county statistics together, but that would be something that would be really interesting. We continue to work together on a lot of different projects. Columbus Junction has a sesquicentennial coming up in 2024. So a lot of our focus has been looking back and digitizing those Louisa history magazines. Everybody will get a copy of those from that work that we've done. We continue to partner to do the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Dolly is incredible. They really subsidize the books, but it is around $27 per kid per year that we fundraise for and help support so that books make it directly to the homes of kids 0 to age 5.
We figured over 500 kids, I think.
No, I think we're at 283
I was wrong. Sorry.
enrolled right now. We have had, well, we might be close to that now. We've had several kind of age out of the program. The program automatically, the month before they turn 5, will send them, I think it's like, I'm ready for kindergarten or some sort of book like that. But I know in Columbus Junction, it seems kind of like anti-library to send books to kids' homes, but what we've noticed is that it creates that
like that connection with them that says, we want you to come to our libraries, like, but it's hard when you have little people and you're worried about books getting broken or ripped or the cost of replacing some of those things. So this is a really great way for us to say that early literacy is important in Louisa County. And we've seen a lot of families start to come in and explore library services because of Dolly. So it's a really great investment in not only our kids and literacy and getting them ready for kindergarten, but also in creating library users for the next generation. What do you guys want to add?
We continue to grow and develop and learn libraries all the time. New technology. Columbus Junction and Morning Sun just switched to a new automation software that offers an app to people to go on and use from their phones. What else?
It's like when someone asks me what was a good book you've read, and I forget every book I've ever read. No, I think so. We all continue to work together, and then each of our individual communities still have a lot of specific needs. Columbus Junction, I'm still doing a lot with citizenship and naturalization, that naturalization process, kind of helping people navigate unemployment and the computer and stuff like that. So Let's and I did the volunteer library or volunteer lawyer association did some programming. This was supposed to happen in 2020, but we all know what happened that year. But we had a volunteer lawyer come in and give a program and presentation about like estate planning and wills and advanced directives, which was really fantastic. Let's had theirs first, and everybody that went to Let's came to Columbus Junction to listen to it again, and then kind of continued to go around. So it's really great to see our patrons kind of also visiting other county libraries and realizing that, you know, sometimes it's really good to hear that information a second time. So
I had to hire another staff member to keep within my hours because we were doing too much and I was not able to stay within my hours. So I have a second person. I continue to work with the school in Morning Sun. I'm helping the kids design the yearbook. We're taking over Battle of the Books. I'm going in and teaching junior achievement. We just got offered to do a Lego program with the school. So supplementing the school is part of what the library does too. Yep.
We've done a program with basically high school. Not that we won't do it for elementary too, but it's usually the high school kids. We developed an e-card, we call it, so that they can, because technically they have to be a certain age or they have to have their parents sign for them to get a card. This way they don't have to have that, but they can get the downloadable books or audios. They can use any of our databases, that sort of thing. They just can't physically check out a book, but that's been really helpful for the school library and for us too, that these kids can get that. Because the school couldn't afford to get the downloadable system, so that way they can kind of rely on ours. And I mean, they were kids that would normally get it if they had a card anyway, but just haven't ever made it in, or their parents haven't let them come in, or whatever the excuse, but that way they can get that information.
lots of school partnerships, however we can help with that.
We've done a lot of adult programs too. We've got an exercise group going on. We do what we call our Pinterest parties, which are basically craft sessions, which usually end up taking the whole evening because it's a way people can socialize. And we found that there's not a lot of that ability in the community. So that's one thing we have found, especially for older adults. It's kind of nice to have them get together. I've had some of them say, oh, we go out for supper first and then come to this. So it's an evening out type of a thing.
And I think we're all taking on a lot more community related responsibilities too, like, the library, my son leads the Angel Tree. We're working on a welcome packet for people moving into town. We are working on a community calendar. It's a lot to take on. We do a lot more than what you see most of the time.
Mandy and I were able to get a grant from STEM Up Iowa. And we got what they call a STEM cart, which we were both kind of, whoa, we got all of this. It came and it's a big, huge.
It came on a pallet.
Yeah, we couldn't get in the library.
No.
We had to tear it off outside and then
Yep.
bring it in.
I'm standing on 92 ripping into packages. It was a good time.
But it came completely filled. It has all it's kind of like a big erector set.
It has enough supplies for 100 different projects for 300 kids to do. So, and then the curriculum is already made through the manufacturer. So it then becomes, we have like a packet of it, because I mean, I'm not an engineering person, but it gives me exactly what I'm supposed to tell the kids. And then if they get stuck on this part, say this thing, how, you know, give them this question to think about. There's not a lot of time to, I think for kids to spend just kind of messing around with things and seeing what works and what doesn't, you know. My kid and I were talking about this, there's not a lot of time to just tinker with things, you know, you don't see that happening quite as much, and this is a really fantastic way to do that. But then it's also super well organized, so if we have a teacher come to us and say, I would love to do this project with my classroom, we can pull all the components out, the curriculum, hand it off to them, and it really makes that a lot easier, so that we're really looking at being able to design something, test it, and then continue to enhance those designs. You know, a lot of what we can afford when we're doing STEM stuff is, you know, we can make it, we can test it out, and then, you know, the cardboard falls apart, or this dowel, we've clipped it and now we can't do something else with it. This allows the kids to do that initial design and then continue to work on their designs until they can come up with the best that they can. Louisa and I also had the opportunity to play with this. We went to a full day training, and the very first project, we sat there and we looked at each other and we're like, we are in over our heads. It's not gonna work. And then by the third one, our rubber band car won. So we
did.
Our
It took two of us, but we did.
it took a lot of opportunities, but it was really great to get that, because that was probably the biggest STEM grant this year. And most of the time those were going to schools. I think we were one of 3 libraries maybe at our training that were able to get those, so that was really great.
We did ours, kick off with, it was as a family grouping. So the parents came in and they kind of guided the kids. My only disaster was we did beans, corn, and shredded paper. They had to make scoops to pick these things up, and I forgot to put anything underneath it. We had this in the library, but they had fun.
And Morning Sun was just awarded a kit from the ALA, Thinking Money for Kids program kit. And we were one of the winners, but there were 576 applications nationwide, and we were picked as one of the winners.
Cool, congratulations.
Good things happening.
You guys always got a lot of energy and they're fun to we enjoy your presentation and enthusiasm about what you do.
Thank you.
So where's our high-speed internet?
It's in now. So
It's coming.
it's getting closer. You know, it's amazing though, after COVID, how much the libraries are changing. And I hear that, you know, because pre-COVID, I remember talking, you know, we was looking at the computer and, you know, just, we didn't have nothing, we didn't have any programs where they send books home and stuff like that. I like to see how we're adapting to what's going on with the kids, trying to follow their interest. It's hard to get kids to be focused and they got so much stuff going on, it seems like, so.
Ever-changing world.
Yeah, good luck. You guys are doing good.
And it changes faster after COVID now. Like, we think we figured it out and then 6 months later it changes. It's not like a year, you know, so
So basically what we're saying is if you got any extra money, we could use it.
If you had extra money, what would you use it on?
What would we use it on? I need new computers really bad. I don't know whether it's the internet or my computers that are really getting slow and people are growling, but.
Mine will go back in towards the kids and programming.
Yeah, we need it for that.
Program.
You name it.
That's the part, the programming brings people in, and then when they're there, then we can kind of talk about like, hey, this other thing, or we have this other thing, or check these things out. You know, so that would be great. The other thing, and I don't know if these guys, we haven't talked about it as a group, but with COVID, just absolute skyrocketing of my use of online, like the ebooks and audiobooks. And so if I buy the latest new release from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, whatever, it's $25. If I buy the ebook, it's a subscription. So maybe I can check that out 24 times over 2 years and it costs me $85. So what we're noticing is there's a lot of people who are getting a little frustrated with the ebook situation and how long, I mean, Prince Harry's memoir came out in January of last year, and I have some patrons that have been waiting since before this time last year to read that book on ebook or on audiobook. So if I had some additional money, I would be setting up my own account, which would allow me to purchase some e-copies of specific titles that are of interest. So that way, because then if I own them, I get to prioritize my patrons. And then once my patrons don't want to like, I don't have anyone on the list, then it goes out to the state to help kind of whittle down some of those other people. So then it becomes, you know, I mean, it's not like it's just gonna sit there and not get used, but that's like my long-term goal. I would really love to be able to have the collection, to maintain the physical collection that I have at the library at the level that I'm adding to it, but then also add in some e-copies of certain things.
And who takes care of your IT problems?
That would be me, yes, and that would be another thing I would
Your own.
love to have with the IT
I
person.
usually call Louisa and say, hey, guys. What do I need to do? I mean, they're really good at even walking me through. Normally we had an issue with our internet kept going down. It took a little while to finally figure out exactly what was happening, but they did, and we got it taken care of.
It's a big thing today.
Yeah, it is.
Considered like under our.
That's what I'm gonna check it.
We had an issue with our printer. I would love nothing more than throw my printer on 92 and let us just destroy it. Cause it's like the thing that stops working the most. But what had happened was somehow someone was able to set up a network on top of or inside of our network. And I had no idea that was even a thing. And so in talking with our printer guy who charged us by the hour to talk us through everything over the phone, I found like 3 different networks, and then I blocked them and did something else, and now everything works great. But like having like a phone option, I don't have anything in a budget right now that's just for IT help like that. Had he not taken pity on me, I might have been crying at that point in time. That's some frustration. And he's like, have you checked? Da, 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 da. And I was like, what is that? So IT would definitely be another thing, because as people are getting smarter about doing things, then we also need to stay up on it. It's not just the physical software, you know, or the physical computers, it's the networking stuff too. And boy, I mean, when it causes problems, it causes problems. So that would be another area that would be extremely helpful.
And we just finished our accreditation this year too.
Oh, we did, yeah.
So we are up to date. Hers is coming up, but we are done. And it's a
accredited.
long process. It's
Accredited
accredited
at
to
the
the
highest
state, yeah,
level.
yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's just 3 years this fast.
yeah.
It does.
I mean, it's a process.
There's like
6 months.
87
we work on-
standards
Yeah,
that we need. Yep.
yep.
that we have to prove that we need, and we have to supply pictures and documentation and all those kinds of things too, so.
Have to be, do a handicap accessibility assessment.
Supply our minutes from our meetings.
Have countywide meetings with you all, so thank you for letting us check that box.
So, which we are working on something new that we're gonna try for in March. Where we're going to try to get together as a county and invite our councils and our library boards and you guys to come and have a sit down meal with us and see what's going on in the libraries.
And then also, our state consultants will be coming. Book banning is a big conversation right now, so she's gonna do a little training on intellectual freedom and the American Library Association standards that we all have to follow and what that means for banning books. So it's an interesting conversation.
Which, by the way, we don't believe it.
But also it's terrifying that you would throw me in jail. The wrong way.
I usually tell them if they don't like it, it shuts.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but-
Well, let's go. Yeah, exactly. We have a choice. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Always great here.
Good to, yeah, I will. See if we can
Please don't panic.
squeeze in pennies in the budget, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We always enjoy your guys' visit.
Yeah.
I am, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I will get over and talk to you more sometime. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
You can see us sometime. Bye.
Well,
It,
that is our agenda.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
You got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, you know, in the schools, the teaching is now. We have a chemistry teacher, the kids go look at it.